Hi, this is Chris McKaylee, and this is a series on where we get bill drafting guidance. And this is from the legislature's House rules. So both the Assembly and the Senate of the California legislature both adopt individual House rules in addition to the joint rules. And when drafting legislation in California, there are several sources of guidance in drafting bills and other forms of legislation, that is, resolutions and constitutional amendments. So, individual House rules is one of those four sources. What sort of legislative drafting guidance do we get in the Assembly and Senate rules? Well, to begin with, on the Assembly side, Assembly Rule 22.5 concerns the Legislative Ethics Committee and directs the Legislative Council to provide any advisory opinions to Assembly members, which the Legislative Ethics Committee can secure from the Office of Legislative Counsel. Assembly Rule 67 concerns committee amendments and co-authors of measures, and it requires committee amendments to bills to be prepared and approved by the Legislative Council in what we call Legislative Council form. Then there's Assembly Rule 69A concerning amendments and requires amendments offered from the floor, either at second reading or third reading, to be prepared and approved as to form by Leg Council. Assembly Rule 77.1 concerns the Legislative Council's digest, and digest of bills amended in the Senate is required by the Legislative Council to prepare and provide a digest within 1 day after the bill has passed the Senate and returns to the Assembly for concurrence. And that digest is sent to the chief clerk as well as the Assembly Speaker's office. There is actually only one Senate rule concerning drafting issues on the Senate side, and that's Senate Rule 28.9, which concerns state mandated local program bills. And it requires the Legislative Council's digest of any Assembly amendments to reflect whether the bill imposes a state mandated local cost without providing reimbursement, or whether that bill contains what is called a disclaimer. So there's just a handful of rules concerning bill drafting guidance from the Assembly and Senate rules.